Continuing my tradition of trying to do speedy patch releases and very short turnarounds, I am going to attempt to cover PTU Patch W on probably the same day that a new PTU patch or even 314 Live could be released. Likely a PTU patch. So let's just get into it. On the left side of your screen is the PTU Patch W, and on the right side of your screen is the PTU Patch V that we recently played. I have not had a chance to play. Well, actually, that's a lie. I did play PTU W in the weirdest way possible. I'll go into that while we're talking. But I've played extensively Patch V, and I can talk a little bit about the PvP mechanics, Xenothreat incursion, and a lot of other things, and then make inferences to W. So once again, a reminder about the user folder. I will include the guide on joining the PTU and also remind you that there is the user folder is in your PTU files. Do not ever delete your user folder of your live files if you can avoid it. The directory is in the top right of your loader. It's the furthest tab on the right side top. You click it, you hit the directory, change location, and that'll take you right to it. You can open that in a new file. And that's where you would delete your user folder or any other folders that people suggest to you, like shaders, for example, I think is another one that in the past was a good one to delete and then just let it reinstall it. That's at the PTU, not your live folder. Set of files, I should say. Okay, so database reset is happening in W. This suggests once again that they are trying to get close to what is going to be a proper release. This is a, maybe not a release candidate, but this is getting close to that. Personal long-term persistence is enabled, so if you bought a shipping game, you'll still have it. That also means that the starting AUEC will be reduced by whatever you have purchased with it in the previous patches. As a reminder, when they have suggestions about having different content where they request you to submit video or screenshots, if you have you hit the tilde key and you hit R, or you type in R_display session info equals 1, this will bring up the tag that will allow them to see more information. That is a voluntary thing. You do not have to do it, but it does help the cause if you're doing if you're looking to submit testing information. Testing focuses are yet again the same. Desync fix testing, general gameplay and stability changing. I believe under V is the time when we started seeing the testing focus refocus back to desyncs and general gameplay and stability from a much larger list like Orison, the Taurus, Crusader in general. A whole bunch of different things that were onto the testings are now simply succinct down to desync fixing and gameplay and stability issues. So we can see that the 16,008 error is still in. As you can see, the workaround is character reset and logging out of the launcher. It is still in there. We'll see how that works. I have not had to do it yet, so I've had suggestions about going back into the menu and then hitting your character where you can rebuild your character, and then then you would leave the launcher completely and come back in. But they're suggesting in these where you have to log out of the launcher after doing a full-on character reset. Now, if you do it through this, the absolute nuclear option is going onto the website and hitting erase character from the PTU and copy character from the PTU to the PTU, and then you have to wait a couple minutes for it to come over, and then you would leave the launcher, come back in, probably log out in that process if you really want to go absolutely 150% delete everything type of thing. I have not had to do that. I have not talked to a single person that has had that happen. I'm sure it's happening because they're writing it in this, and it's happening enough where it's warranting that. But I have not had that issue. After logging out of a ship and bed, it doesn't matter. What matters is do not log out and ship beds. Do not log out and ship beds. Do not log out and ship beds. We have repeated that over and over again through many of these accounts. And it's almost as prevalent in these patch notes as the Demon Fang combat knife not being in game. So don't log off in ship beds. I know it's a pain. I know it's difficult, but right now you can't. 30Ks from bad token errors. I've had this happen twice to me during testing. Basically, just restart the game. It's that simple. It's unfortunate. I have yet to have a successful like log back in on party members or anything like that. It's relaunched the game. Star Citizen may crash immediately after launching a game. This is they're talking about potential app conflicts. They're still focusing on these third party apps, so make sure you do not have these: Acronis Active Protection, Komodo, Sonic Studio, and as they say, contact RSI's technical support if the issue persists. By them having to say contact RSI technical support if the issue persists, that suggests to me that they don't have enough data to confidently say it's these apps. It could be another issue. So if you are facing an immediate crash, first of all, I would make sure you have enough RAM. One of the things that I've been talking with a lot of people on that have 16 gigs of RAM, or I think one person had 24 or something. It's just a really weird situation. But anyway, if you have less than 32 gigs of RAM, make sure your paging file is a decent size. Your paging file is this storage area on your hard drive. And I'm keeping this simple just because I don't want to geek people out. I'm not Linus Tech Tips. Basically, the gist is you make a space on your hard drive, and you probably already have one, but it's probably only like 4 gigs at most. So what you do is you go in and you make that file 12 gigs, let's say. That would be a solid paging file size. So if you have a paging file of a reasonable size, you can really have these wiggle room where you won't have these crashes to desktop, instant crashes while it spikes its memory. Because there's spikes. When memory first loads, it has a higher thing than when it's running constant. Also, when you load in new areas of a map. So if you happen to be flying into Orison or New Babbage, some of these newer locations that are very spiky, is lack of a better term. They're less polished than a Lureville or an Area 18. Or if you're in an event, even at Area 18. I had a friend who had 16 gigs of RAM, and he was able to play fine until we took him over to IAE Expo that was over in Area 18 that year. And he crashed, just from loading in all those different ships and all the event stuff and everything else. So what I recommend is make sure you got that paging file big, because that helped him out. That helped a lot of people out that I've been suggesting it to. Make sure you got that paging file at least to 12 gigs, and you'll really be sitting a lot more comfortable in a lot of cases. And it may not even need any of these apps or any of this stuff. I mean, yeah, I don't have any of these, but if you have one of them, it may be a smart idea to at least set it to, offline for that time period, but I would try the paging file first. In general, that the RAM, you don't realize just how much RAM your different programs run in the background too, especially if you're recording, streaming, if you're running Discord with a lot of different people chatting with you, any type of live streaming at all in Discord is another example. Don't forget that's just as much load as any other streaming. Even if you're just streaming to a couple friends. So just keep that in mind. Elevators or environmental content will occasionally be missing in the PU. I've spoke about this at length. I'm not going to keep digging into it, but if it happens at a station, a reminder, if like you're leaving your hab and you're trapped in there, basically, you're not really trapped. If you end up outside, you can always free fly over via EVA to a hangar entrance. Or sorry, pad entrance would be the correct. Go to a pad entrance on the far outsides of the station. You'll be able to get back in through those doors that are on the right side of the pad when you walk forward, facing the station. And also, if you have a org mate or a party mate, you won't even have to do that. What you can do is have them give you a meet, so they'll be able to see your beacon. If they can't see your beacon, you are near the big window, so that's a good landmark, no matter what kind of station it is, because that's how the habs are. The habs are usually on the same level as the ASOP terminals and the ship elevators. Now, if you happen to unluckily be falling through the earth, well, I don't have a good workaround for you, because the stations are probably a safer place right now anyway. But the easiest thing is to just relog. Probably the server's acting up. Players are unable to leave a party from the main menu. The workaround is to open Star Marine multiplayer, select invite, select leave party, exit back to main menu. Same deal as before. The chat window is positioned too low to be fully readable whilst in a vehicle on ultra-wide monitors. Still an issue. Using a med pen may occasionally have no effect. Swapping FPS drops, same deal. Mineable commodities. I'm burning through a few of these just because they're already here. This is stuff from yesterday. The player may become unable to open hammerhead turret doors, leaving them trapped inside. That's unfortunate. The workaround that nobody wants to hear is you could always land the hammerhead and then self-destruct it. Yes, that would mean you have to respawn and have to come all the way back to the station, or the ASOP terminals in the station, or take some shuttles if you're on the ground, but that is an alternative. Nobody wants to hear that, though, because then you have to have that countdown timer waiting for your next hammerhead. And obviously you would be in a party, but you really shouldn't be solo flying a hammerhead unless you're just practicing landings, in which case why are you in a turret? Connie Andromeda Copilot still broken for when it comes to missile operator mode. Elevator Grimhex fails to complete animation and completely lose functionality. I spoke with somebody about this. This is interesting. So some parts of Grimhex you can EVA around. I had a video covering Grimhex a little bit. I think I've already mentioned that in a previous patch thing, so I'll put it at the end of this video in the card, but it's not the end of the world. Grimhex is one of the few places where you're not trapped by elevators in a lot of parts of it, interestingly. Search missions such as shipments lost and lost cargo do not update once the player has collected the cargo box. Still there. Wow, I mean, just so many things. Distortion weapons can lead to friendly fire events. Unable to complete box deliveries missions on Area 18. Still issues. Here we go. Here's a new one, because even my eyes are glazing over here. So Arena Commander was fixed. Players can spawn facing the wrong way at the start of the match or after dying has been fixed. And the quantum drive issue is back. May start spooling with no known cause. And also the quantum drive, after attempting to initiate a jump, nothing happens. So once again, if you aim with the B, you hit the B key, you got your calculation, you've got your 100% on your jump drive spooling. Sometimes it will not work. And what happens is you have to turn the ship away and then point it back. I had this happen in a party, interestingly, and this might be part of it. So that gives you multiple beacons, one of which is your party mates, and one of which is the actual planetary destination. So when you're outside of the planetary group, it's usually best to warp to the planet and then go to whatever your next target is, i.e. your group. They happen to be they were nearby the planet that I was aiming at, and it was not the actual planet. And for whatever reason, that seemed to trip it up. I was so far away that their beacons were practically on top of each other. And I could not pick the planet for some reason. I kept angling it, kept going back to them, and then it wouldn't let me warp. So I pulled away, and then I came up at a slightly lower than like aiming at where it's supposed to be aimed, and that allowed me to lock onto the planet. I held down the B key, it went into warp, quantum. Players, so they got rid of the flashing light issue on HURL4. I'm glad that they rushed that, especially for people that have discomfort from like incredibly flashing lights. Some of the videos I saw out of there look like a disco, especially if you have a delivery mission there or something, and yeah, that's uncomfortable. It would really be a shame to have to lose that contract because of that type of situation, or say you were logging in there. That wouldn't be fun. They also fixed the Nox variant's missing comms MFD button for the left and right MFD screens. As I spoke about before, that could be a deal breaker if you're on New Babbage. Places like that have a big door that leads to the pad. So you hit the comms, a lot like you're in a normal ship, and the door will open at the Commons, the New Babbage Mall. And the door will open, you go inside, you sit on the pad, you hop off, you go to the ASOP terminal right inside the door. So like you walk further into the building, straight through a door, and that's where your ASOP terminal is, so you can store the ship, the Nox in this case. Without that comms button being easily accessible, you won't be able to request the door to be opened, basically. However, there are many pads, like most of the Platinum Bay locations around the system, that's not a problem. So yeah, it's one of those things where it is a small issue to a few folks, but it is a major issue to those folks that it impacts. Okay, so under technical, you can see that they changed this slightly. So in the V patch, optimizations put in to help fix major cause of player desync. And then technical on the W patch, further optimizations put in to help fix entity stalls that were causing rubber banding and desync. I once again applaud the technical team. I said this last patch that them going a little bit in depth and digging in and explaining a little bit. For example, optimizations put in to help a major cause of player desync is a lot better than one server issue fixed, and that's all they put. So this is a lot better. And then when I see in the W patch, they continued that trend. So in the technical section of this patch, you can see further optimizations put in to help fix entity stalls that were causing rubber banding and desync. That one sentence is all we've been asking for, because now we can see what technical is doing, how that's impacting your gameplay, and how you can enjoy your experience better, and also what their focus is. So one of the interesting things about seeing these is sometimes there's multiple focuses on a patch. You'll see like a good example would be ship balancing. This patch has none of that. There's no like we have changed or what's that word they like to use? We have right sized. We have like I've seen a few different adjectives they've used, but basically the gist is we've brought down or increased weapon damage slightly, or increased capacitor use of energy weapons so the recharge rate, but made the regen faster. Like that has nothing to do with technical. And then you get on a technical and you just see two server fixes. And you're like, well, are they related to the changes to ships? Are they related to actual server issues that are not related to that topic? Being able to see that these are, a very specific issue where entities are being stalled out and that was causing rubber banding and desync, that they're right on top of a major issue. I applaud them for that, and that's awesome to see. I can't wait to see more of these changes. And like I said, I have not had a chance to really try W yet. Of all things, I was doing B-roll footage of Orison for a 314 live video in W so far. I can say that Orison has excellent frame rates, but I can't tell you much else about the W patch. The V patch, on the other hand, the V patch, the one that was up till yesterday, I can tell you that there was a interesting amount of issues and good things. One, I had very large groups of people that were playing a Xenothreat on both sides, and yes, I said both sides. We were playing the good guys for the 3 different servers that I was on. However, there was quite a lot of people that were not playing the good guys. So Wednesday night, especially, is probably my favorite one to talk about. On Wednesday night, CIG put out this call to arms. I did a video about it. Basically about the Xenothreat incursion. We really need everyone on deck to test this. And basically a bunch of hurricanes showed up. So across multiple servers, there was these hurricanes that were basically going around and murdering everything. And quickly, what the good guys learned, and the second server I was on, we learned very quickly that the only things that could stand against the hurricanes were, 1, other hurricanes that were properly staffed with 2 folks, 2, a hammerhead fully loaded, 3, of all things, a Carrack, and 4, of all things, an 890 jump. I want to throw a nod out to a few folks. Sora. So, Sora, you organized a lot of interesting stuff. Canadian Bacon is another fellow I ran into that did a lot of great work in witchcraft. Those folks did some very interesting work. I hope to put together and package some of that video. It might make it into this video, it might not, or it'll definitely be up very, very soon. Where we were rolling around in 890 jumps and Carracks that were able to hold back the tide of the hurricanes. It is crazy how much damage the hurricane can do right now. The hurricane can currently do 3-second kills on anything in the game, give or take. I have to actually sit there with a stopwatch and count it, but it's not much more than 3 seconds. Maybe it's 5 seconds. Basically, the Hurricane gets extremely close to the target. I mean, like in your face close, which is exactly what the devs said they don't want. And it just unloads on something. And it can burn through 2 size 3 shields in 3 seconds, 4 seconds tops. And then you're instantly dead right after that. It is insanity. The Hurricane currently is the only ship to use with 2 players on board in these current patches. Now, I stress that this is in test server, PTU, test server, PTU. And I repeat myself because this is not live. And I'm hoping that this is fixed before live because this is insane. Because right now, there's literally nothing else. I think I even tried breaking out, just for variety, a Vanguard Sentinel. And it actually stood up for a little bit. And it was actually doing pretty interesting dogfighting with one Hurricane. And then finally, the Hurricane finally caught up and was like, yeah, no, you're going to die. So quickly, what we learned was literally I was romping around with, I think it was Witchcraft. And we were just trying to kill stuff, getting kills. And what we were doing is it was just Hurricane versus Hurricane. We were in a Hurricane, they were in a Hurricane, and we either killed them or they killed us. Like, it was literally, that's how it was out in the Xenothreat box collecting area. And we were the good guys trying to do sweeps, and quickly you learned, like, that's not sustainable. Even though you're only respawning 30,000, 30,000 kilometers away, so it's a very short quantum jump, it's still not sustainable. You got countdown timers. And when you're dying, you get a kill, they kill you. You get a kill, they kill you. And that's if you're lucky, a 50-50 odds. You learn very quickly with a 2-person team, you run out of Hurricanes fast. And now remember, these are free Hurricanes. You have a free spawned Hurricane just for existing on the test server. When people don't all have access to Hurricanes, the people with access to Hurricanes are going to be infinitely more valuable. That's why they really need to right size the Hurricane's damage capacity or do something else. It's too maneuverable for how much damage it can put out. And no, it's not a glass cannon. These things can take a few hits. I volleyed one with 4 size 3 missiles, and as far as I could tell, 2 of them made contact, and the thing didn't die. And that was just craziness to me. Like, and then when they get close to you, even though they're in front of you, right in front of you, they're too close. The missiles have a short distance they can't lock on, and dumbfiring them and watching them hit, it does not seem to do something. Like, I think there's a safety mechanism on the missiles. So when they're that close to you, the missile will not explode so it doesn't damage your ship, which is unfortunate because what happens is you end up dead and they're still alive. So I think that the magic number is like 3 size 3 missiles, maybe. I'm not quite sure. I wasn't able to test it enough to really find out because immediately what I realized was I grabbed random people and I'm like, get in my Hurricane or I'll get in yours. I don't care who the cool person is. It gets to be the gunner. Just let's get out there. Because quickly that was what we learned. And then later jumping into the Hammerheads and the 890 jumps and the Carracks. And that my personal favorite was the 2 last ones because they're just so, like, you don't expect them. But they're great. They're really great at keeping the Hurricanes at bay. The Hurricanes cannot handle those larger ships. The absolute massive Studio Capitals are the only ones that can stand against the mighty, tiny, stupid Hurricane. And that's crazy. And I say it that way not because I'm picking on the Hurricane. I don't think it's a stupid ship. But right now, it is broken. And it should not be able to do the level of damage it does to large ships. In the devs' own words, they said that large ships will not even be phased by size 3, size 2 weaponry and stuff like that. They're going to shrug it off. Even 4 size weaponry. Like, you'll need special kinds of weapons that have extremely short ammunition cycles. And even then, you won't be able to, like, break a large ship. We need multiple of these Hurricanes, for example, to even do damage to a 600i, or to even do damage to a Hammerhead or something like that. But right now, the only defense is offense. The only reason these large ships handle well is because they have ridiculously large shields, and they have all the gunners that are covering it. You need these fully staffed. So when you go into Xenothreat, one of the most successful ways to handle it right now is make friends with a large ship owner or be a large ship owner and recruit, recruit, recruit. At least have 3 of your turrets, preferably 4, covered. Sometimes that's a challenge. I don't think when Xenothreat first comes out, it's going to be a challenge. I think there's going to be so many people excited about it. You'll find gunners at the station that's right next door to Jericho. However, later on down the line, hopefully by that point, the Hurricane will be properly balanced. And yes, another disclaimer here. Remember, it's PTU. It's not live, so I can't pick on it too much. This is just PTU talk here. However, another thing to keep in mind, and this is another disclaimer, is that they have balanced for small ships and extra small ships. They have not balanced larger ships yet. And Yogi himself said that. Now, what that means, I can't infer enough. I don't know. I think the damage that these small ships are able to do, particularly the Hurricane, I'm picking on the Hurricane because it's the obvious one, is just, to a large ship, is just off the charts. It's worse than it used to be. And that's saying something. So I feel like it's one of those things that's going to have to be balanced very quickly. You know, the Eclipse, you can say what you want about it, but it can sucker punch stuff. And it's like, that makes sense. It's got size 9 torps throwing out. However, once it drops its 3 load size 9 torps, it's done. It's like a bee that is stung, and the stinger stays in the person. It might as well just disappear and go away. However, with these Hurricanes, they seem to be able to get multiple kills. And I can attest that even the stock weapons are incredibly powerful on the Hurricanes right now. I personally have gotten kills with it. And it's just insane, the level of damage. And if you change the weapons, it gets even crazy. So we have joined in this cause of this random guy to try to take back the area from Hurricanes, which are the new fruit of the moment. It is no longer the Talons, it is the Hurricanes, which can basically 1 to 3 second kill every single ship in the game except for the 890 jump, only because the 890 jump can hide behind its capital shields. This is a pretty weird situation, to say the least. Currently, I am one of the gunners on this Carrack, and on top of it, there's a gunner. I'm on the bottom, and I think there's at least one side gunner. I'm pretty sure there's a third person. That's why I'm assuming it's on the side. Although I'm pretty sure those little balls go out the sides once they have a gunner. But yeah. It's a freaking Idris here. This is Red J of the future here. Basically what I'm doing is I picked this I picked this because it's the best video I had, a clip I had of how it felt. I don't think there's that much PvP action in this,
So
especially
because
because,
it's like they're shooting above us.
as I'm mentioning as well, the turrets, it depends on if you're in the action or not. But you're literally, you hear bogey, 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 etc. You don't care about the NPCs. Even the Idris is not that scary, except in this clip, I think we get, I'm not going to spoil it, but it does matter. But shooting out the missiles and frantically spamming the button, searching for new targets, because you're looking for that word that doesn't say the word Xenothreat. You're looking for a target that is a player, because they are so fast at killing you. That's what you care about. And then, yes, of course, I'm shooting at random NPCs as their target is available to us. But the main game is for the turret gunners to constantly be aware and looking for players. And the game for Sora there, who's piloting this Carrack, they are looking for ways to keep the shield faces up.
Beautiful mess.
To keep the shield faces up while we're firing and while we're working our guns, right? So you'll see a lot of these frantic changes of direction, and that's because their shield face is being changed. There's not much on the map that will kill a Carrack pretty easily, except for players, as long as you keep moving your ship in different directions. That does make it a little challenging to be a gunner.
Fully gunning this thing. There is 4 guns. This limiter is killing me. Okay. There we go. Gotta admit, I did not think the Carrack was a battle bus, but it is certainly in that list. It's got good turret layout. And I'm still questionable about its defenses, but hey, it's got good offense for what it is.
One other thing I noticed during this fight was the capacitor management was critical. You had to pay close attention to both your weapons as they kept reloading their capacitor, because they're energy based. And the capacitor would change over time. I talked with Sora after this, person I just met literally when this happened, when we were trying to do a group to go out, and afterwards he explained that he was taking capacitor away from the firearms and from the turrets in order to allow folks to have a strong shield face here or there and keep us alive. So he was basically switching between the shields constantly and giving back to the weapons, like a whole bunch to the weapons as we were not taking damage. Once again, because it is so fast that a player can kill you, I picked this clip because it shows that I was doing it properly, checking around for players, and you might hear me once in a while tapping keys, and you're like, well, why is he tapping keys? I'm just trying to switch targets if there's a new NPC enemy, especially if you hear pay special attention at the end if your ship's voice goes bogey, new bogey, or that's absolutely critical to know about, because you can die very, very fast. The NPCs only have a couple things with enough teeth when you're in a large enough ship to really hurt you quickly. Players, on the other hand, are a serious, serious threat. If you do have a player come up that's rigged up to do insane amounts of damage, what'll happen is they get right on top of you. So if you hit F4 and then hold down Z to be able to spin your camera, you can instantly see what's going on around you real fast. Do that every once in a while. Oh, and most of the time ignore the check fire messages. There's like a player that passed by you for a millisecond. It won't matter. You won't get in trouble or anything just by hitting them for a second. Unless you're using ballistics. Idris down. Yeah. We might have just got hit by an Idris railgun. I'm sorry about the crappy audio and the fact that I didn't really capture much before this. I was in instant replay mode by this point. Oh, and that's another glitch, by the way. It says party disbanded every time you die. But, yeah. If you look here, when a comlink reestablishes, there is no you've been murdered by. And we instantly died. So this is a different Idris. So there's up to 3 Idrises in a row that are supposed to spawn, depending on which part of the Xenothreat phase you're in. And yeah, we got hit by an Idris railgun in one shot. Stay away from the front of the Idris. So I didn't want to spoil this, but There is one thing on the enemy fleet that is terrifying, and it is that Idris railgun. And when it's not fighting the javelin, it actually does turn, and occasionally it will fire its railgun at you, and you don't have Dooley going, they're preparing their railgun to tell you to like get ready. The only thing you'll see is the glisten on the front of the Idris powering up that railgun, and then it's like sitting there just looking for a target, and it'll swing around with its big old thrusters and attempt to get a shot off, crack a shot off. It's actually pretty balanced. It does not often hit, but my goodness, when it does hit, it hits like a Mack truck, and it didn't instantly kill any ship in the game. So do bear that in mind. The Idris is a threat almost as much as the players, but it's so rare, and it's such an unlikely situation you're stuck in front of it, that I just wanted to add that experience, though, that it is a possibility. I think that's a good spot for me to end this. I'm going to wrap it up here. I apologize for the weird audio on this clip. I was not able to clean it up any more than I did, but I wanted to offer what it's feeling like in the PTU right now. This was all shot on PTU V, not W, but there was no desync issues. To be fair, I did have a 30K on the second server I was on, but we had a solid long gameplay session here, and it was a good experience. And this is just clips of it, by the way. There was long things in there and a lot of fights. And oh, by the way, fun fact: the PvP parts are not that exciting looking. It's literally just blow up or you blow up, and that's it. So bear that in mind if you're expecting PvP. The excitement is just the tenseness getting into the fight, and whether the times you win, and et cetera, or getting revenge when somebody takes you out. The more exciting stuff is really the Idris fight. So that's what I picked, and then showing how you have to constantly be mindful of PvP but still perform your PvE type gameplay. And one other thing, it's very profitable. It was I kept saying throughout the thing that it was unfortunate that this is on the PTU, because you're having a ton of fun and you're grinding a lot of UEC at the same time. So I would not be surprised if you see me put out a video probably after 314 live, probably a week out afterwards, doing a review of what's worth purchasing with a week's worth of grinded Xenothreat cash. Because the UEC is a great way to be able to expand your fleet. It will go across multiple patches when you buy ships, or you can even just rent ships. Like, say, a Retaliator, for example, would be an excellent ship for PvE as like a missile, as a torp truck to bring in, drop a wallop, go back and refuel, rearm, get back out there, and just have fun that way. That's another way to avoid PvP, by the way, is just zip in, drop your torps, get the heck out, and come back. And it's one option you have if you don't want to deal with the PvP when you're constantly just sitting there fighting. But it's good fun, good excitement. Get on the PTU if you can. If not, I'll see you in 314 live. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. And you have a wonderful day.